What are you in bits about today?
So I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Going to whisper it on with some ASMR. Welcome to In Bits, the podcast that deconstructs our digital lives.
I'm Liam.
And I'm Nicola, and we're both lecturers in IEDT in psychology and cyberpsychology. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to know what you think of the podcast, and we would be super delighted if you like it. Don't do it if you don't like it. If you would leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it would really help us bring in new listeners who might enjoy it as well. So, Liam, what are you in bits about today?
Well, today I'm in bits about a topic that's probably quite prominent or relevant to anyone who owns any form of device. Okay, so I'm going to talk about ASMR, what it is, the ways or the places that we see this online. I'm going to delve into some of the research in this space as well. So like if you're a parent, if you are using TikTok, if you are using YouTube, all of this episode is relevant to you. And I'm not going to really importantly say that I'm a neuropsychologist or I work in neurology. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not approaching it from that perspective, but I'm going to talk about neuropsychology in relation to the cyberpsychology aspect of this. So I'm going to try and focus more on that, talk about what it is, provide some information around ASMR, because everyone just hears the abbreviation and they go, oh, yeah, I know what that is. And then they actually have no idea what it is and they're just going along with it.
Yeah.
Or they've seen some of these videos and there's a bit of confusion around what ASMR is and what things like white noise or grey noise or all of these different formats of what are sometimes compared to like online stimming are. Mm-hmm. So do you know what ASMR stands for?
I don't. I'm excited about this episode because this is probably the first episode so far that I know nothing about, like absolutely nothing other than the fact that I'm pretty sure I don't like it.
So before we started, I didn't have a huge understanding of what ASMR was. I knew what it was from a practical perspective. So seeing people do it, also chatting to parents about it, seeing it in my own feed, and actually seeing it in my own feed and being really irritated by it, to be quite honest. I'm not an ASMR person. I'll touch on the parallels of this and you'll hear me rant later on. ASMR actually stands for an autonomous sensory meridian response. So
I've never even heard that before.
Okay, so in layman's terms, or for what everyone else who doesn't understand that, which is all of us, it refers to that tingling sensation that you have starting typically in your scalp, moving down the back of your neck, your upper spine, and it's triggered by specific sounds, sights, and personal attention. And it's kind of interesting that we're talking about ASMR in a podcast because what we do, so like me breathing in or you talking or lip noises, all of these actually count as ASMR.
Dear God.
Yeah. So, but like even the breathing, like what you're doing technically counts. You have to do it in certain ways, but yes. So this sensation should be pleasant. It shouldn't be irritating. It should be relaxing. And people talk about it as like a tingling sensation or like a brain massage. So when we talk about ASMR, we actually talk about like triggers or the sensations that we have. So triggers are like the stimuli is the best way to describe it. So these are if I'm whispering, if I'm tapping, if I like rub the mic.
Is that why all those influencers do every single thing that
it's
they
really
point to?
Irritating. Yeah. Sorry. I hate those. If I hear nails tap against like a Tupperware again or a piece of packaging, like I hate them so much. Sorry, I'm gonna try and not be negative with this, but
I'll leave that to me.
Yeah. But these for some people are really relaxing. For other people, they kind of get your back up, or that tingling sensation isn't a comfortable sensation.
Yeah, it's more like triggering or kind of,
So there's supposed to be gentle movements, softly spoken voices. So like I'm the opposite of this and I laugh as I do this, like this softly spoken voice, and then I'll just like laugh out of nowhere and just we'll have to like adjust me in post-production.
It's me when I do the welcome to In Bits bit, but then not after that.
Yeah, exactly. But not everyone experiences ASMR. For the people who do, it provides relaxation, stress relief, and it can even actually help with sleep. And I'm going to touch on some of the studies. I'm not going to dive into too many of them, but ASMR has been around since about 2010. It's grown in how popular it is. And we'll touch on popularity and we'll look at some of the stats because obviously I can't help myself. But particularly this is through online videos and it's moved into this like influence space. And like the term that is used is ASMR-tist. So the person who creates that content, which I kind of love. So before we dive into ASMR, have you heard of frisson?
No, I feel like I know the word as in like a frisson of excitement or something. Is that the same thing?
It actually, well, it's a French word. It means to shiver. So it's that sensation of goosebumps or chill. It's really similar to that sensation that you should get from ASMR. So it is really similar. Both of these produce a pleasurable, nice, happy response. But they cause us to feel slightly different. And we'll look at authentic and non-authentic ASMR later on. And that's not actually whether you were actually having that response, but it's where the sensation originates from in your body. Okay. See, I've learned loads with this.
I find it fascinating because I've not experienced this. So I find it really interesting.
Have you never had goosebumps from
like
anything?
At a concert or something?
See, that's frisson.
Okay.
Okay. So ASMR is that intimate, auditory, sensory piece, okay, and I'm going to keep doing this with my voice. And sometimes it's with visual stimuli as well, okay, so where we see lots of color. So a social media video, and I picked out an example that really annoys me, which is where someone like organizes a fridge. And there's that influencer on Instagram, it's like Shabazz, I think is the username, and he always takes the piss out of, but he always takes the piss out of people who are reorganizing their fruit drawer and organizing their ice, and that's all ASMR. And he's just really irritated and doesn't really connect ASMR to it. He's just like, who are these people organizing different types of fruit into their ice?
Yeah.
So this is something that we see quite commonly. They're really unnecessary and annoying videos if you haven't seen any of those before. So in a typical ASMR video, we expect to hear something quiet, a close or near sound effect, human sound effects, particularly whispering. There's a lot on whispering, which is, I think, a bit creepy. Tapping. I hate them. I really hate them.
I haven't come across too many. I think because I really don't like them, they just don't come across my FYP on TikTok or anything.
No, but like if someone is like starts a video, any form of video, and they're doing like this.
Oh no, yeah, no,
they're
gone.
If whether that picks up or not, we'll introduce a sound effect later. But those types of noises are, for me, I find them quite irritating. I don't find that someone tapping their nails on a counter. I think it's rude. I don't think it's comforting in any regard. So these are supposed to be relaxing. Frisson, by comparison, is a similar response, but it's induced by music or a dramatic experience. So like what I jumped to with that was like Hans Zimmer. So like these like very memorable or impactful film sequences, so like something like Inception or anything like that, the opening to like Clocks, for example, or like Heroes by David Bowie, these like momentous pieces of music that you will always remember and that will give you this kind of goosebumpy feeling. You can put yourself back into that space where you were when you first heard that song, or the emotional response that it creates for you. That's frisson. That's not ASMR.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't get that very often. Last time I remember getting that distinctly was the Soweto Gospel Choir in the National Concert Hall, and they came out and the first thing they played was just full on goosebumps, like tears in my eyes. Absolutely amazing.
See, that's frisson.
But I don't get that very often. It has to be really like something very special for that.
But ASMR by comparison should be like soft and soothing. It shouldn't be, it's not
dramatic or emotional.
The stimuli is completely different. So these kind of short intros of pieces of music, anything that's quite memorable, can induce an emotional response for us. So have you seen the film Up?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember the piece of music that plays in the sequence where we learn about how the old man started his life? No?
But I am the wrong person to ask.
How, like, you were terrible at movies. What's wrong with you?
I'm bad at remembering music, the names of things, movie. Like, I love Up. I've seen Up a few times, but like,
so Up is like, it's Michael Giacchino, and I was actually listening to this while I was making this episode.
Oh yeah, now I recognize it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So in that montage, we see images about his life, him with his wife, and you move from this happy emotional state to a negative emotional state, or
Yes.
a less happy emotional
Sobbing.
state because his wife has died
Yeah.
and he's on his own. And it moves from very happy, upbeat music to less so.
Yeah.
So that's frisson.
It's the only movie where I've been like laughing and enjoying it to sobbing in the first 5 minutes of film.
God. So the big difference between the two of these is that sensation perspective. One is the huge emotional response. It's powerful or it's emotionally charged. So this is music and film. The other is a sensation based off like the whispering and the tapping that we've spoken about. Okay. So it's really important to differentiate the two, even when you're trying to do research on this. It's very different. Both are pleasurable. Frisson should feel more intense, momentary, or short lasting, whereas the ASMR is much longer.
Okay.
So a standard ASMR video is like 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can increase, and there's like people who have huge playlists on them as well. It's actually similar. It's more, ASMR is this more kind of subdued emotional response. It's supposed to be longer lasting and doesn't have the same impact. It's not supposed to like shock you into response.
It's more like a gentle physical reaction.
Yeah. And it's similar almost to like white noise in relation to how like it relaxes you to allow you to sleep. So the big example like that I can think of is like a rain playlist or a nature playlist or like a spa playlist or whatever it might be to help you concentrate or rest. So if I'm like trying to read through something or if I'm trying to mark, I will listen to like a piece of classical music or like kind of nature noises or whatever it's a silly example it might be.
Yeah.
But that
actually,
allows me to reach a state of flow.
Yeah. Like I use that to block out other more annoying noises, but if I had the option, I would not put that on. Like heavy rain blocks out children really well.
See, I think a heavy rain playlist is fantastic. You're
But
trying
that
to
is why,
get in a flow state.
yeah, that is a noise soundtrack rather than ASMR though, isn't it? So, and like more like brown noise than white noise. White noise is awful.
It's more like brown noise. It's really poorly named. There is research around ASMR, and I'm going to touch on two really small pieces here. So ASMR, in terms of what it can do in that slow sensory response, is reduce your heart rate. Can increase your ability to relax. And this is comparable to like using classical music or mindfulness strategies.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So that was a piece of research that was done in 2018. Functional MRI studies have been conducted with ASMR, and they look at activation of a reward and emotional processing centers when ASMR is being listened to.
So you feel like you're getting a reward and you're processing some emotion when you're listening to it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we can see that there is research that connects the physiological and psychological states with ASMR videos. That's the point I'm trying to make there. So have you experienced ASMR? Have you watched any of it? Okay.
Not on purpose.
Okay.
I am very sound averse. I like peace and quiet more than anything. So the idea of watching something for the purpose of it being a sound is completely against everything I stand for.
Okay. Yeah. So
any of them that I've come across, I have not enjoyed.
what specific triggers or stimuli do you not like?
All of them.
All of them? Every
Really,
single
like
one?
everything, anything to do with whispering, mouth noises in particular. Like, why would anyone want to listen to that? Or no. Nails on things, anything like that. Rummaging around in stuff. Just anything that's like irritating and annoying. But that is like most noises to me, in fairness.
So like some people like ASMR that has voice and doesn't have voice. Some people like the noise of pencil cases. Some people like organizing sounds. Some people like those Tupperware noises that I was complaining about. Like plastic wrappers.
Oh dear God.
Clicking noises. I don't have a pen because I would just be clicking it the whole time. But those clicky noises, anything like that, sweet wrapper noises, all of those, people watching your face.
This is why I do not like open plan offices or being on the bus or anything else, because people make noise all the time and they are profoundly annoying.
Okay.
I do think that I have just a touch of misphonia,
Yeah.
which probably doesn't help with enjoying ASMR.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to touch on some of these later. So I was going to actually say I hate lots of these, particularly things like, that's why I started doing it, the popping noise, where people are doing it.
Do people like that?
Yeah.
No, like no offense to anyone. I just like, I find it so like it's a physical reaction in the opposite direction for me. So I find it really interesting that people can really enjoy that and find it soothing and relaxing.
But there's a huge variance in the types of ASMR, and we're going to touch on it in a sec. So I like to ask you how popular or how how prevalent do you think things are?
And I'm
So
usually
way
so
off.
wrong.
Yeah. How popular do you think ASMR is? If you had to give me like a metric, so YouTube is probably the best measurement we have. How many ASMR searches do you think happen every year?
God, I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad at even conceptualizing what big numbers are. 100 million.
A year.
A year? Okay, probably more. A billion.
Okay, how do you go?
I've no clue.
Oh, how do you go from 100 million to a billion?
What is a billion anyway? 1,000 million?
Oh my god. Okay. Oh,
Told you.
Okay.
Numbers are not my thing.
Okay. Now, what types of ASMR do you think are popular?
The ones I've seen most often or seen talked about most often are things like cutting soap and those ice cube ones, which I only now realized are ASMR from you telling me that. I thought they were just people being obnoxiously wealthy and wasteful.
Yeah, also that.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to touch on these. So in 2019, Kovic and Huron conducted research on ASMR and music-induced frisson. So they were looking at identifying the differences between the two concepts, and they used 30 YouTube videos and just over 3,500 comments on Reddit. And they were one of the first studies to gather kind of two different data sets and metrics. That's why I like this study. They supported that ASMR typically is more quiet, private, and typically kind of delicate or intimate overall. And that music-induced ASMR, so it should give you this like kind of goosebumpy sensation that we've been talking about, is similar to frisson in terms of our responses to music. However, an interesting piece of research on this is that it's difficult to get statistics. And this is why I also like this study, not just because they have this kind of qual dynamic, and we'll get to the qual aspect of it in a sec. But in 2019, they were looking at the amount of usage stats, which in some cases is a bit more reliable because it gives us a snapshot in time. So they found that 43 million views in the YouTube videos that they were looking at. So this was yearly statistics. And on Reddit, ASMR forums, it was about 130,000 subscribers. So you were about halfway there in terms of your guess of 100 million.
Just very close.
Yeah, close enough.
But I think it's interesting. So 130,000 subscribers in Reddit, they're like an active community. That's not just people who see a video and go, oh, that was quite nice. Like that's people who are really into it.
But they're actively sharing and interacting with each other, kind of making suggestions for content creation too. Okay. So in 2025, it's a lot easier in terms of trying to get these usage statistics. So 20% of all YouTube users watch ASMR content. Wow. Okay. So this is 2025, 24 million searches a month. This is the most popular category with 50 million regular viewers.
Wow.
That's a lot
incredible.
of people.
Yeah.
On Reddit, it's moved from 130,000 active subscribers to that main forum to almost 400,000 in that main forum. Okay. Now, it's not just YouTube. So if we look at the predominant users of YouTube, they're typically younger. They're under the age of 18. So they're the main users of YouTube. So we want this in your mind. And then also, it's not just YouTube anymore. Okay. It's platforms like Instagram, particularly TikTok. So TikTok recorded 150% growth in the last year in ASMR content with over 1 million ASMR-tists accounts.
Okay. That's where I've come across it. I'm not really on other places. I'm on Instagram, but I haven't really seen it there. But definitely on TikTok, it's the only place I've come across it in the wild.
In the wild. But it is. And what I think is, it's not so much that I'm trying to like panic anyone, but I'm concerned about the type of consumer or consumption trends. And I'm going to talk about some of those now because you need to have those platforms in mind, and you need to have this, to be quite honest, like open-minded perspective around the types of users or the predominant users on these platforms, because it is really difficult to gather data on someone who is under the age of 18.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Like Google doesn't give you access to those metrics. You can't get them through like Facebook ads or Instagram ads or something, anything like that. It's much more restrictive. So in terms of the average consumption time, the average watch time for an ASMR video is actually 15 minutes.
Really? That is much longer than I expected. Like, given the consistent conversation about how nobody has an attention span anymore, and the fact that all of these younger people are potentially watching these really long, quite boring videos. That's really interesting.
It completely contradicts it because they say that the average consumption is 15 minutes. It ranges, so it's actually higher. So these stats are just coming from YouTube in this report. But the times and the statistics, when you look at some of the different research papers, they range up to like 25, 30 minutes in some of the videos.
Right.
Okay. So this concept that we have no ability to pay attention to something that's longer than 60 seconds or 45 seconds or 3 minutes long, depending on the study that you read. And it's not even a standard video where you have like dual stimming. So where you have one person is like watching like a South Park episode, for example, and then they're playing a game in the other part of the screen. Like we've done studies here, and I've supervised studies here where we look at where people are paying attention to in eye tracking. But I would love to do like a ASMR eye tracking study.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
There's a scale later, so I'm going to talk about that. So
because it strikes me that would be really boring. Like if you're actually watching it as a video, it's different. Like having a sound track on the background, I understand, but watching it as a video, I find
it is the most popular category. So maybe you're wrong.
It obviously is working for people.
I'm not being so confrontational, but you are wrong.
Well, it doesn't work for me, therefore it's not true.
Yeah, but it's the most popular category. It is the most watched video in 2025.
Yeah.
So like you are wrong. Okay? Sorry. So if we look at some of these trends or the content creation aspect of this, 60% of creators are female.
That doesn't surprise me. It's quiet, intimate, that kind of stuff. That doesn't really surprise me. Yeah.
Okay. Time of day. When do you think people watch these?
Nighttime.
60% of viewing is between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. Okay.
It's like relaxing, restful, go to sleep.
Yeah. Or I can't sleep and I'm doom scrolling.
Possible.
Okay. But let's go both sides of the coin.
Is it doom scrolling if it's ASMR? You're like watching, I don't know.
It's continuously filtering through a feed where you're...
There's no doom involved. Surely the doom part is quite important in doom scrolling.
I haven't gotten to the content of what these videos are yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I really am coming in fresh on this one.
They're not all great.
Okay.
So the average creator is actually between the age of 25 to 34.
That makes sense to me.
The average consumer is 18 to 24. 40% of the demographic, 18 to 24.
That's younger than I might have expected. That's still on YouTube, is it? Which skews quite young anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
40% of the data, which skews quite young, is still...
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. Whereas the other 60%. Okay, I'm
have
always
they just
looking
never
for
heard
the
of it?
18-year-old or the under 18.
Oh, you're looking at the under 18. I'm like older than 24. Have they just never heard of ASMR?
Heard of YouTube or ASMR?
Have the olds heard of ASMR?
85% of this is on a smartphone. Okay, so I'm trying to like bring this out of our conversation and put it in a bedroom or let's be real.
It's at night. It's young people on a smartphone.
Yeah. 30% of these viewers are watching multiple sessions or multiple videos in a single session.
Okay.
So we don't know, are they in this doom scroll that I've just been talking about? Are they actively doing this? So we don't really know what that behavior might be.
Or whether they've set up a playlist that's just going while they're asleep or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Now, this is really popular. It's the most watched form of content on YouTube, and there are varying different examples we can talk about. So one of these is White House ASMR that we were made aware of when we asked listeners about ASMR. And in this
is
particular,
not your typical ASMR, I assume.
It's not your typical ASMR, but it's jumping on this kind of almost influence bandwagon around the popularity of ASMR videos. So a news outlet reported this. So we've actually been kind of careful not to watch the original created video because obviously that's why it was there.
Which was tweeted by the White House on X.
So this particular one is White House ASMR is what it was discussed as, and it was ICE ASMR. And essentially the video details a number of different examples, and the noises are jet engines and shackled chains. So in the video, you see people moving up metal stairs and you hear the clanging of it. You hear someone organizing chains and ankle shackles. It's quite a dark video. Some people responded positively to this.
Yeah, like our favorite friend of the show, Elon Musk.
Yeah. You act as if he interacts with us or knows who we are. And then other people were actually shared the video, but
Horrified.
also commented on it, which is all part of this, positive or negative. It's all getting involved. So one
It was
person,
perfect outrage bait, really, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. But one person said, like, never in my life have I seen something so awful. Who would think this was a good idea to do? And what is quite shocking about this is that this video actually continues in this, where you see people do this, but it's all about publicity and the visibility of this. And it's quite a distressing video to watch.
And people are recognizable in it. Like the people they're deporting, you can see them.
Oh, they haven't been censored, no.
It's horrifying.
But it's to show that they're supposedly doing something about immigration, and it's hitting into those feeds, or similar to the discussions we've had around algorithm and elections, is very effective in terms of ASMR content.
Yeah.
Okay.
The world is a dark place.
Yeah. If we go back, okay, so that's the negative aspect and how someone can jump on this. But the COVID and Huron 2019 research, so we've talked about the quant aspect of it. Now, the qualitative, the Reddit data, I think this is more interesting. So they discuss what people find triggering. Okay, so
Triggering in a good way or triggering in a bad way?
like what they respond to, not necessarily positive or negative.
What triggers the ASMR?
What triggers the
frisson
response?
feeling? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so their personal experiences, also things like mental health benefits, and they share recommendations with each other. Now, triggering aspects or the stimuli include things like we've said, the whispering, the tapping, hair brushing is one. So like the noise of a hairbrush going against someone's scalp.
Okay, you can't see me on the podcast, but my eyes are widening further with a look of absolute horror.
Page turning, eating noises, someone chewing loads of gum in their mouth. These are all different ones, yeah. So can you imagine these while I'm saying them? You should be able to do that, okay? And we'll get to that later and how that's connected. We asked some listeners about the different types of ASMR they like. You have some of those responses. Would you read some for me?
I do.
I should just do some ASMR.
No. Otherwise you're getting nothing from me. Okay. So we asked people what they think. So whether people love it, hate it, or it depends on the sound. And it was very much, it depends on the sound, like overwhelmingly. So I think it's really dependent on what kind of sounds you like or don't like. So some people love particular things. Some people hate other things. In terms of the kind of things that people like and dislike. So mouth sounds came up a lot for people not liking them at all. So anything chewing, slurping, anything like that, absolutely not. Things people do like, nature sounds, wax cracking, soap cutting, things like turning book pages, like you said, hair brushing came up quite a bit as well. That was kind of, the only one I can tolerate is keyboard noises. Again, we've got any mouth sounds are truly disgusting, which I fully agree with. I also hate every single other sound that was mentioned. I'm very intolerant.
But I think what's a subset of ASMR videos is role play ASMR. Okay, have you heard of that before?
No.
Okay, so role play ASMR is literally role playing different jobs and scenarios. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You have a confused, slightly concerned face, and that's kind of where I am.
That work?
So this is where a person role plays being a barber, a doctor, a fantasy character in a game, in the Reddit forums. So I had a little deep dive. So my favorite one I've pulled out is where someone said they like to role play being a llama, like yeah, where they like this response and they get someone to hug them tightly, and it's just the noise of like, if you're wearing a super woolly jacket, and that's the sensory sound aspect to it. And it's similar to like the sympathetic nervous system response, where you hug someone tightly to help them and comfort them. And there is research around that, and I'll touch on that in a little bit.
It's so fascinating. People are so fascinating.
But I have other examples, right? And the first example I'm going to show you, I'm going to make you really uncomfortable. So the first example I'm going to show you, I would like you to describe what it is. It has 416,000 views. Okay, as of today, and it's only just gone online.
I am worried.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Can you describe what you're seeing?
I am seeing a young white woman who is very made up, lovely makeup, very long eyelashes, who is very close to the screen and whispering at me. and doing something with a throat swab. I'm not listening to her because her whispering is freaking me out. And uncovering throat swabs is reminding me far too much of COVID. So none of this is pleasant.
So this is a ASMR roleplay of a dental hygienist.
Okay. People find dental hygienists relaxing? Okay, I have a fear of the dentist, so like I am not one to judge here. But this is...
But it's directed towards the camera as if you were the person involved. And that's the roleplay part of this that's really important. Okay?
I'm very uncomfortable.
Okay.
This is 15 minutes long? Oh, lads.
So these are 5 different ones. And these are designed to help you sleep.
What?
Okay. Now, this is a different one I want to show you. So this is someone pretending to role play a barber, and there's hair like comes down across the camera, and it's those sensation noises of cutting someone's hair that will come across, and this person is still whispering in the background. So if your type of ASMR you like to listen to isn't hair being cut and also whispering at the same time, this is going to make you uncomfortable. It's also the person talking really close and direct to the camera. So
like way too close, uncomfortably close.
They're in your face.
Yeah. The only person I look at that closely is my husband. I don't need to see anybody else that close.
So this particular person has just under 500,000 subscribers.
Like I'm delighted for people that they find this relaxing. I do not.
So these are all short 2-minute clips. And they rotate and they change. This particular one has just under 500,000 views as well. Okay.
Yep.
That's an example of several different types of role play.
Okay.
But what's really kind of concerning is they're very close up for me. I find that kind of a bit creepy and daunting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you one more before I move on.
And don't get me wrong, she seems lovely, but it's still way too close.
It's quite... like if you had difficulties making eye contact with someone, anything like
Yes.
that, which a lot of people do, that would be really uncomfortable to watch because they are uncomfortable.
Is there research on like autistic people and ASMR and whether they like these or don't like these and what kinds they prefer? It's really interesting.
So the ones that relate to like the sympathetic nervous system, I have some studies on that I'm going to touch on. But not so much on the close-up role play scenarios. I don't have any research that connects people with any additional needs.
It'd be really interesting to see research on that because I imagine that very close-up face one for maybe autistic people would be
intimidating.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable. Absolutely.
Very uncomfortable.
Now, this is another role play video, okay? And it's of a vintage jewelry store interaction. So you're in a 1960s department store. Again, the ASMR aspect to this is this softly spoken customer service. So part of
really
this
don't
is
like
just
the whispering.
the enjoyment of how uncomfortable you are.
Otherwise, you'd only make me watch one.
So I'm not going to, So I'm not going to put it, the sound on for it. You don't need to go there. But this is essentially a woman who is like brushing a carpet of velvet.
Yeah.
And is about to organize jewelry out on the counter and has a 40-minute role play scenario with you about buying jewelry for yourself. And this is not like hypersexualized. There's no content in this. It is you are a female in a jewelry store browsing.
Except it's like really slow motion. Like she's moving way too slowly. Like I would never buy anything because I'd be so dead with boredom after 2 minutes. I'd be like, just show me the bloody things and let me have a look at them.
So they go through all the different items. There's opening and closing of clasps for those noises, arranging them, trying them on their own wrist. So all of this happens in this clip at the same time.
Okay, it's fascinating. It's all the most irritating parts of going shopping and none of the joy of actually buying something.
But this video, it has about 80,000 views.
Yeah. It's not for me. I get it.
But these videos are really, really popular.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at the other types of ASMR, or the kind of the reasons why they're viewed, some of it is managing anxiety,
emotional regulation
for things like sleep as well. We had another listener who we asked to, or we also asked you guys if you could send in voice clips around the types of ASMR you like. So we're going to play a short clip for you now so you can see some of the types of content that people like, but also why they like some types of ASMR and not necessarily other types.
I'm quite specific in the type of ASMR content that I like. So it is mostly fairly quiet, non-talking, and productive in nature. By productive, I mean that the person is usually accomplishing a task of some kind. So some of the ones that I particularly like are where the person is sorting or organizing. There's been some great ones where there's somebody who is preparing library books and putting that plastic coating on the dust jacket. Those are the kind of ones that I find particularly good. I don't like ones where there's somebody talking. And I've noticed that some of the content providers will create two versions of the same video, one where there's talking and one where there isn't. So I'll always go for the one that isn't. The talking perpetually annoys me. And it'll also annoy me if there's like background music or anything like that. Additional sounds that are unnecessary.
What I find really interesting about that clip is the differences in the ASMR content that has a voice and doesn't, but also the awareness of the ASMR artist who is aware that some viewers are going to like it with a voice and some that won't.
Yeah.
The differences in the nuances between like personal characteristics of organization and the kind of book examples. I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting. That's personal preference coming into the type of ASMR content.
And
that we
also,
like.
like the difference between what that person was saying about, like, it's okay to see the hands, but you don't see anything else, versus
Like
the
the
one you just
microphone.
showed me, where it was literally like as close up as a person can humanly be.
Yeah, no, but if someone is that close to your face, they've invaded your bubble.
Fully. Fully.
I think that's really interesting because it shows you the personal characteristics and the individual difference in ASMR content.
Yeah, and preferences.
So we've kind of started to touch on why it is so popular. So ASMR is these distinct tingling sensations, the emotional response, and they make us feel relaxed. They make us feel calm.
They make you or somebody else
Or someone else,
relaxed and
not
calm.
you right now. They mimic like a nurturing noise, like an attentive aspect, and they activate our reward system in our brain. They release neurotransmitters like dopamine and oxytocin. Okay, so there's research behind this. You should have dopamine and oxytocin
What's
released.
the ick neurotransmitter? Sorry, I'll stop now.
Okay, no, you're okay. So we know there's physiological responses. So research has found that ASMR activates our parasympathetic nervous system. So that's what I was talking about earlier. It allows us to reduce our heart rate and increase our ability to relax. So there is research around this. Now, neurology research, by comparison, that the brain imaging research I was talking about, so they look at the activation of the brain for emotion, reward, self-awareness, and it's the medial prefrontal cortex and the insular cortex. So the parts of your brain that give you those emotions and reward. Okay, that's as far as my neuropsychology
Okay, cool, because
knowledge
it's way
goes.
further than mine goes. I'm like, that sounds fascinating. I'm not going to ask any questions.
Now, from a personality perspective, so if you
We
go
know
back
more
in
about
your,
that.
your domain now, so people who are more prone or sensitive to ASMR content, what do you think? What personality types or what personality traits?
Clearly the opposite of me. If I was to guess, the fact that it's kind of quiet and intimate, I'm thinking maybe people are more introverted. Like extroversion requires more like stimulation and arousal. So introverted. I'm thinking agreeable, because less agreeable people are going to find it really irritating. I don't know what that says about me.
What do you think about neuroticism?
Possibly higher neuroticism, that it might be soothing. Yeah.
Higher neuroticism and higher openness to new experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have increased sensitivity to ASMR, greater reductions in things like heart rate, increased motor and visual auditory sensors in terms of mapping for personality types.
Was
So-
it related to extroversion?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
It's
weird.
The only significant ones in these studies were openness and neuroticism.
That is really counterintuitive to me.
But like what I think is interesting is from a personality perspective, we can be more prone or more sensitive to ASMR content, but just because you're extroverted or introverted doesn't mean you're not going to respond to it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
There's research that was done by Perio et al. In 2022, and they were looking at the relationship between synesthesia and responses to ASMR. So synesthesia is where you have a phenomenon where you get a sensory crossover. So this is tasting color, feeling sounds, And a common example of this is like tasting words like orange or lime.
So fun.
Okay. So they surveyed 648 people about their ASMR experiences and synesthesia. So out of their sample of 52%, they said that they responded to ASMR content, while within that group, only 22% identified as synesthesists. God, that's really difficult to pronounce. So within that, you're talking about 22% of 52, about 14% overall of the full sample.
I believe you.
I hope my math is correct.
That
it's off the
seems
top of my head.
really high.
It is really high. So the prevalence rate is about 2 to 4% in the general population.
Oh, wow.
Synesthesia.
Okay, so for people who experience ASMR, it is much higher, like 10 times higher.
So there's a relationship between those two variables. One does not cause the other.
No,
okay?
of course not. Of course not.
Now, sensitivity to the ASMR, like we've said, is linked to higher openness and higher levels of neuroticism. Okay, it can provide that reduction in heart rate, increased motor and auditory centers, like we've said already. So I have some positive examples of ASMR within the research. Okay, and there is so much there that is coming out at the moment, anywhere from like 2023 in the research studies right the way to 2025. There's lots of interdisciplinary research. So I am high leveling this because there is just so much out there.
Cool.
I've picked out some pieces of data that I think are really helpful. So 2/3 of teenagers in a Korean study reported that ASMR helped them with their sleep and it had a positive impact on their learning.
Okay, so were they like putting on in the background while they were learning stuff or studying?
So in the background, generally.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, so that's a Korean study. Popular creators in terms of ASMR content, so the amount of content that they were creating was reaching 36 million views. So this is like in terms of seeing the percentages of this.
Yeah.
Which is really high.
Yeah.
Studies from the UK, China, Japan, and Netherlands showed, and again, support that reduction in heart rate, mood, promotion of mood, and activating sensory aspects for reward in the brain that we've already spoken about. So we're seeing that there is consistent research here.
That's good.
A ASMR sensitive person is more likely to report an intense or longer lasting tingling sensation as well. And that kind of aligns with the type of media and content that ASMR is. ASMR content can also improve mood and attention, but it also impairs executive function. So particularly in the study by Wang et al. In 2020, so jumping from one task to another, which is something someone who has ADHD might struggle to do, for example. ASMR content or watching ASMR content can prevent you from being able to effectively move from one task to another.
I wonder what the mechanism is.
I think it's your cognitive load, to be honest.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
They also can lead to greater reductions in pulse rate when compared to nature videos. So an ASMR video compared to happy nature videos, ASMR videos have a greater impact on that parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress, improving focus, especially if you're neurodiverse in that study.
That's interesting.
Now, it can also improve mood, reduce stress in someone who might be more sensitive or neurodiverse as well. And it is widely recognized at the moment as a short-term relaxing and positive mood-enhancing effect. So these are some of the studies that have been conducted from 2022 to 2025, roughly. And I think these studies are really interesting because they show the kind of breadth of ASMR research. And I've pulled high-level positive results from this. And I've tried to avoid some of the negative stuff because I'm about to go into the negative.
Okay, Grant, I was going to say, this sounds amazing. What's the catch?
So Harper did a study in 2019 and they were looking at the connections between ASMR content in relation to intimacy. Okay, and I don't mean like relationship intimacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So ASMR intimacy is intensified through the primacy of the body, the sensuality and physicality of the content being created and consumed, and the central to its visceral carnal effects, is what Harper said.
Okay. And is this all ASMR? Or
not all ASMR content, just a lot of ASMR content. And I'm going to get here now, okay?
Because the one you were showing me earlier of the vintage jewelry shop, you were saying there's nothing sexual about this. And I was going, isn't there? Like she's patting down a whole lot of things gently and slowly, and it's like soft surfaces and stuff. Like it could be viewed that way.
I suppose that's down to the viewer.
It is.
Yeah. I didn't see that.
Clearly, I just have a filthy mind.
No, but I didn't. But it's like a jewelry store thing. I'm just like, this is kind of boring. Well, like I'm not seeing anything else on that. Maybe it's individual difference.
Yeah.
But in Harper's research, they discuss how ASMR videos are often supported by disclosures for health or wellness by creators and by consumers.
How do you mean?
So like someone will comment underneath and literally say, this really helped me with my sleep. It helped me with my
Okay,
anxiety or my PTSD. And there's no scientific support
Yeah.
in particular videos.
Okay.
There is some research, academic research that supports these aspects. But a lot of the time it's anecdotal,
Right.
okay, under these videos. And Harper discusses the different roles and role play ASMR videos, and an aspect we've kind of touched on where ASMR has this feminized care labor role. Okay, so 60% of creators are women. Okay, I think you can see where I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So with these labor roles, they're typically massage therapists, they're dental hygienists, they're nurses, and unfortunately there is a slightly sexualized aspect to this, okay? So the viewer is a customer or a patient or the person getting the massage, okay, in these videos, okay? Now, the framing of therapy or wellness, Harper argues, is counter to the external aspects, okay?
So it's basically trying to kind of distract from the fact that it's sexualized or fetishized.
And just like, oh my God, that just happens to be in this video. How strange. It's actually the kind of sexualization or fetishization of that content. And a really good example of this is kissing noises. Okay, so I'm not going to do them.
Thank God. Or make me watch them.
No, I'm not going to make you watch videos. I'm not going to replicate kissing noises. We're not going there. But kissing noises is a huge one, or lip noises generally, or like high saliva content lip movements.
No.
Okay, I never thought I would say that in the podcast. High saliva content. Okay, I would like you to imagine
I
this.
wish you hadn't.
Okay, so Harper does discuss that while some male ASMR artists have successful online followings, the most successful performers are in this genre of fit, hegemonic standards of desirable femininity, and they're overwhelmingly very pale-skinned, thin, young women.
Yep.
Okay.
Offering service roles, a bit like how all of our assistants, AI assistants, are female as well. There's this like, yeah.
But it's just a bit creepy, to be quite honest.
Of course.
There are studies that talk about ASMR and pornography, and like its blend between like anime and ASMR and pornography as well. And there are young content creators of ASMR who are underage. Okay, so you need to be really like, even when I was gathering research for the podcast, I would only search within research journals for this content, because I'm quite cautious around the algorithm and what is also being posted in that space.
Yeah.
And it seems like I'm being hyper conscious, but I am absolutely not. I think it's really important, because there is this blend over where a lot of these ASMR artists are underage, and it is actually discussed in the research how some of these are, like there was in one of the studies that's is a reference in the Harper paper, talks about an ASMR artist who's only 14 and is creating makeup content videos and is discussing how smooth things are, and like doing stuff with makeup brushes and all sorts. Like it's really concerning from that perspective, and that's where this can go dark.
Because I haven't actually seen the videos, but I've seen people talking about some of the slime videos and things like that, and how they have that element to them. Or do you ever see the ones where people make recipes like in their sink full of food, and it's like the sounds that the hands make and stuff? People are talking about that being ASMR, but like that feels like fetish content. Yeah. Okay.
Now, this is concerning when you review ASMR content generally, particularly in relation to younger users. So again, back in a bedroom, 9 to 2 a.m., 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., mobile phone, typically YouTube or TikTok. Okay. So I know that the majority, or the amount of ASMR content that is out there is probably overwhelmingly positive, but it is important to be aware. And this is both parent, but also within your own algorithm, to not allow that to stray into that space.
Yeah.
Now, it's not always sexual content. Okay. I'm going to bring us back into happy or odd, maybe.
Oh, it's fine.
Have you heard of mukbang?
No.
Okay. Do you want to guess what it means?
I have no idea.
Okay.
My initial thought was like, it sounds like some kind of maybe delicious food, like a curry or
Okay,
something.
yeah, okay, we're getting there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, this is pretty good.
I am a foodie.
So mukbang is an online audio-visual broadcast. It comes from South Korea, in which a host or a mukbanger consumes large quantities of food on camera for an audience. Okay,
That's not what I
so
was
it's
thinking.
literally to broadcast eating.
Oh, no.
Okay. So they interact with an audience. Sometimes this is live streamed and they interact from an ASMR perspective. So this is repeated chewing, swallowing, and eating noises,
Why have
and
people-
interacting with packaging and drinks and slurping noises and soft drinks and straws and all that kind of stuff.
Why have
Okay?
people created my worst nightmare online? And other people's, like a bunch of our listeners, when I asked the question, what do you like or not like, said they absolutely hate any kind of mouth sounds.
So there is research on this.
Okay, fascinating.
Okay. So Yang and colleagues, they conducted research on mukbang ASMR. And again, yes, this is a thing. This is real. They looked at viewers of mukbang and found that viewers have higher levels of alienation, loneliness, and vicarious satisfaction through their viewing. They're more likely to consume these forms of ASMR than other types of ASMR. And overall, loneliness of the individual viewer is the greatest predictor in viewing ASMR mukbang content in their research
That's
study.
mad. What sort of effect sizes were there?
Pardon?
What sort of effect sizes were there? Like for
Medium low to medium effect size. Like it's not massive, but in terms of the loneliness aspect of this,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
I suppose like one of the most social things you can do is sit and eat with somebody. So it's a sort of an approximation of that.
But all the mukbang content is high in terms of like triggers and stimuli. Okay. So these triggers that we've discussed are really important for ASMR content. So there's been a series of studies about how we introduce a response. How do we create an auditory or a visual stimuli that is going to make you interact with it or have a response or have an effective response? So like in that audio clip we listened to, the person doesn't like auditory aspects or if they can see the mic. So there is this kind of like perfect or sweet spot that needs to be there in an ASMR video for someone.
And it's quite individual.
There is a research study that I really, really like. I found one that I'm like, I could replicate this or use some of the design of the study. So Greer and colleagues, so they conducted, I very rarely say this, this is an extensive research study. They had 17,000 participants.
Jesus, how did I do that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Paid research data collection.
Brilliant. Okay.
So they looked at ASMR using psychometric properties and they created their own scale. Yay. I'm very excited about this. This is really sad. But I really do want to use this for a piece of research. Maybe that dual stimming and eye tracking that I'm talking about. But they have a series of sub-traits. Anyway, we'll get into them in a second. So in their work, they looked at whether ASMR responses were classified as authentic or not in their responses. So authentic, again, is where it originates in their head and their neck. So this tingling sensation. Okay. That's true ASMR.
Okay.
Okay. So similar to frisson. Someone who is not authentic, it isn't that they're faking an ASMR response. It's just that it starts in another region of their body.
So why are they calling it inauthentic?
So the sensory response was supposed to happen from where you're receiving the sensory response. So from your sympathetic nervous system down through your brain.
Okay. So it's like type A and type B.
Yeah,
ASMR
exactly. It's not that you're not responding to ASMR, not that you're disingenuous,
You just
anything
have
like that. It's just
atypical
coming from
response.
somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
With this, they looked at the differences between these groups on the intensity of the different triggers or stimuli people interact with. So how sensitive people would be to different stimuli. They divided these participants into high, medium, and low for each group.
Okay.
So authentic and non-authentic. So they have 6 different groups here already. Okay, so this is a complex
But they have
study.
loads of people.
They have loads of people. So the statistical power of the study is still
really
good.
good,
Okay.
yeah.
Great experimental design. So they found medium effect sizes across the subcategories for their ASMR scale. So the subcategories were altered consciousness, so similar to like a flow state, sensation, so how they felt during it, relaxation, and the affect, so the emotional response.
Yeah.
Okay. And the different types of ASMR content they looked at in their study were roleplay ASMR, okay, watching interpersonal care, and tactile responses. And this was in the authentic group, had small effect sizes when comparing it to non-authentic responses. Okay, so the authentic group had more of an impact across those different
Okay, so the
substrates.
authentic group had small effects and then the non-authentic group had...
No, the other way around. So small effects when they compared authentic to non-authentic, and it was higher in the authentic group.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, so basically what we would expect to happen.
Okay.
The standard ASMR response. But I think this is the first study that has looked at, well, firstly has created a scale around ASMR. So this study has literally just been published. What is interesting is they've created a scale, they've made an experimental design, and they've looked at the different types of popular ASMR content, so like the role play content.
And is the tactile responses content, is that like the cutting soap and those kind of
Noises,
things?
yeah,
Okay,
and touching.
Gotcha.
Okay. So tactile responses like the sweet wrapper kind of aspect, any of those cringy noises that should be comforting and aren't. So they looked at how sensitive they were across high, medium and low. So sensitivity to the response
Gotcha.
and across the ASMR scale. So a really lovely study design. So what they concluded...
What I'm concluding is Liam's ASMR is a really good study design.
yeah, it is really well designed research. So
It's
sad.
for some.
So they concluded that we actually need to conceptualize the individual differences we experience for ASMR, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. which I'm
Everybody
really
sees
happy
it
about.
differently, feels it differently, responds to different stimuli.
Every single person has a different perspective. So when we watch ASMR, it's more of a trait on a spectrum rather than how we respond. So it's not a dichotomous response of we react or we don't react. We react on a scale. So we either, that ASMR content is fine. It gives you some form of response. It might be a positive or a negative response, but it's on a scale. Okay, it's not that it does or it doesn't. Okay, so we don't think in that dichotomous or binary response. With all of this, it's everyone will respond. How they choose to respond. Again, positive or negative. So if you
So
don't...
is that just like the horrible icky feeling I get, which is basically like the goosebumps, but I'm interpreting that in a really negative way rather than a positive way?
Yeah, someone else is going to interpret it in a positive one. So it's not that you're not going to respond, it's how you're going to respond, and someone's response will be different. So this kind of helps us to explain individual difference in ASMR research. So it goes across a multitude of different areas. One that I really like, and because I teach persuasion and cyber psychology and how they interact against each other, is ASMR in an influence or influencer space. So we spoke about influencers recently.
Yeah.
And there was a piece of research done last year, and it looked at ASMR and increasing parasocial relationships. So how connected we feel to an influencer.
Because it's intimate noise.
It's intimate noises.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. So they promote stronger commitment to a brand or the influencer. So the ASMR artist or ASMR-tist are emerging as this new influencer brand. And they might be an untapped aspect of that influencer market. Remember, the influencer market is worth hundreds of billions. So
I remember I didn't know how much hundreds of billions was.
but I think this is really, really interesting to see where this research is going, where the kind of types of content are going. So it's worth a fifth of YouTube's consumption.
So if you're a beauty influencer, introducing some tapping and those kinds of things could be quite powerful.
But I think people are already doing this. I think they are still influencing this content, whether it's being done through paid promotion or not yet. We may not know. And whether it's being, really importantly, regulated. We may or may not know.
Yeah.
Okay. So to conclude, let's bring this back down to earth. So ASMR and ASMR artists are going to continue to be an emerging aspect of that influencer market and online consumption in 2025 and onwards. And they're across a multitude of platforms. Some of this is positive and some of this is negative that we've spoken about in terms of the positive physiological or psychological impacts that it can have on people, the negative aspects to this in terms of the types of potentially problematic or inappropriate content that we might see. So I think we need a pinch of salt that it's not all negative and it's not all positive. So this
Which is
balanced
kind of where
approach.
we usually fall. Isn't
Which
it?
is tends to be where we usually fall. We're not fence sitting,
We're
we're just
on
being
brand.
open. But I think we need to be cautious, particularly if we have younger users at home.
Yeah.
And I,
think,
don't mean
like,
younger kids, I mean younger internet users or technology users generally.
Yeah.
And then with ourselves.
I think some of it's definitely kind of innocuous and fine, but yeah, you do have to be careful because with the way the algorithms work, they're not necessarily differentiating between the different types and where it starts to get sexual or fetishized and those kind of things.
But an algorithm is not going into that level of detail.
No.
An algorithm is going, you've watched this video, and other people who watch the video also watch this, like the collaborative filtering
and
aspect.
it's a real fuzzy boundary as well. Like, people interpret things in different ways. So yeah, it's really interesting.
But I think if you have a younger person at home, or if you're an adult, I would be more considering, well, what is the content being viewed? Do you have comprehension of the subliminal kind of subvert, not overt content that might be within the background of that video? So is there a hypersexualized person making those popping noises or playing with those candy wrappers that a younger person may not be as aware of?
Yeah.
Or are you paying attention to the ASMR content? Is it a sleep video of this person whispering, but they're also potentially sexualized, and that's feeding into your own algorithm too? So I think this active control is also important in terms of the filtering you do. So I'd say be mindful of your ASMR consumption, and also don't think that it's all going to be overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a varying different support services you can look at for this particular episode. I think more so managing around, like I've said, algorithms, WebWise, our Internet Safety Center. And if you see content that you think is inappropriate or not suitable for certain ages, or you don't want it in your algorithm, take that active control and report or remove or say you're not interested on your For You pages, or reset your algorithm.
Yeah. And if you enjoy it, great. Keep enjoying it.
You've been listening to In Bits, the podcast that deconstructs our digital lives. I'm Dr. Liam Challoner, and you've been?
I have been Dr. Nicola Fox-Hamilton, and I still am.
Yeah. So you can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok at In Bits Podcast.
I've been really bad at updating Blue Sky, actually. You won't find a whole lot there. I'll try and do better. This episode was produced and edited by the wonderful Owen Hurley. Thank you also to Owen for our lovely music. And thank you all for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, guys.